Greetings. It's Dr. Charnay White, and I am so grateful to be with you today. Let's go ahead and get started with just a little intro music to get us in the holiday spirit. Let's see if we can get that rolling.
Okay. Yes.
Tis the season to be jolly, but how can I be when I have nobody?
Thank you for joining us during our healing for the holidays today. I want to welcome you again. My name is Dr. Charnay White, and I am here with Dr. Lena Clark. I'm going to let her introduce herself, and then I'll do a little bit of introduction of myself, and we're going to go from there. Happy Sunday.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Charnay, for this wonderful platform. I'm so excited to be here to discuss such a much needed topic. And my name is Dr. Lena G. Clark. I am the CEO and founder of Miracle Mind Global, which is an entity where we assist and educate individuals about mental health. And we have other plethoras underneath a Miracle Mind Global, but it all gears towards mental health and also transformation and the mindset, improving the mindset and the way we think.
Excellent. I was really excited when Dr. Clark reached out to me about providing support to individuals during the holiday season, which is always a lot. Just because people are trying to grapple with grief, loneliness, some aspects of financial stress, maybe some anxiety or some underlying depression. Everything seems to get kind of heightened, right, Dr. Clark, during this season?
Mhm. Absolutely. You know, a lot of people suffer with seasonal affective disorder, SAD syndrome. You know, we don't want to label everything, but realistically, everybody's not happy all the time when it comes to the holidays. A lot of individuals go into a state of depression. Some people have lost loved ones, and it's very hard for them to, just jump out of it. So, this is one of the reasons we decided to have, Healing for the Holidays platform because we want individuals to know that you can heal, that you can move past your past. And, whatever trauma you've experienced, again, it's easier for us to say it, but that's why we're here is to assist and to encourage.
Absolutely. And it's been a long year. I mean, I know myself personally, there's been some hills and some valleys. We've had losses in my family, and they have been significant and near to our heart. And
Mhm.
so one of the first things that we want to talk about as far as healing during this holiday season is going to be grief. And grief is a sneaky little sucker. It kind of sneaks up on you when you don't expect it, and next thing you know, you're grieving a loss all over again, right? And it just kind of pops out. You think you've processed it, but there's some things happening subconsciously when it comes to grief that's just a little bit out of our control as human beings. Grief is one of the most human things that you can experience in your lifetime, and yet we still struggle with how to support one another with that. And it's ultimately the most inevitable thing that happens in life. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the stages of grief, but before I do that, I want to give Dr. Clark an opportunity to just kind of give us the giblets like of grief. And I do talk about grief like it's good, like the turkey giblets when you have Thanksgiving and you get that extra juice. I'm gonna let her kind of tee us off because sometimes when you get into stages, it's kind of a little bit of a downer, but at least it's education. But I'm sure she has some things that she can share that are healthy and just provide a little wisdom as far as grief is concerned. Dr. Clark, you hearing me
Absolutely.
okay? I hope our connection. Okay.
I am hearing you. You froze a little bit, but can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Definitely. I can share a lot about grief because from my experience and my book that I wrote titled An Amazing Mind and losing my husband to suicide a week before the holidays, a week before Christmas, December 18th is when I lost my husband. And
Wow.
so, there are 5 stages that people go through and sometimes more because everybody grieves different. And so when I say during the holidays, people just don't want to deal with it when you've lost someone, such as, again, losing a spouse. And one of the stages that I went through that was like, seemed like it just didn't want to go away was denial. I mean, I was in big denial of, not seeing the signs, missing the signs. And that's why I'm such an advocate because I don't want individuals to miss what I missed. If we can help
Sure.
one person, understand there are signs that we ignore. And people often did ask because one thing I can say from a my perspective and living in and men a lot of times don't talk. They don't want their spouse to know that they're hurting, that they're depressed because they're the leader. They're the head. So again,
Yeah.
being in denial about what I was seeing and what I did miss, and then also after the fact, still being in denial. So that's one of the things that I had to literally overcome. And then anger. I was angry. Literally, I was angry because I felt abandoned. I felt like, wow, you
Yeah.
left me, but did not know he was struggling with depression and schizophrenia. He was
Wow.
masking it very well. So that's why I encourage individuals to pay attention to your loved ones, pay attention to your children, your spouse. We're right there. And because you see in their behavior and you're okay, but you don't know how they're acting when they're not around you. You don't know what they're telling other individuals. And in my case, my husband was sharing his thoughts to others, but I was the last one that he was sharing
Mm.
them with. So the next stage that I went through was bargaining. You know, um, a lot of times we feel like we've lost someone that we feel like, okay, or have we accepted the fact that they're gone? That we hold on to that a lot.
Sure.
So, so that's the third stage that I went through. And then depression, of course. There were times I didn't even want to get up out of the bed. And if it wasn't for my children, knocking on the door, Mom, are you okay? They were the light for me. They were the ones that actually made me want to get up and continue on. Of course, it was a process over a period of time, and then accepting it. The last one was the acceptance. And I had to eventually accept that this is reality, that this is what it is. God, what is my purpose? What do you want me to do from this? So all of that again combination was why I'm doing what I'm doing, and I wanted to turn my pain into my purpose, and it is my passion, and this is what I love doing. So what we go through in life, regardless to what it is, turn that pain into your passion because our test is to be our testimony, and we can't allow the enemy to get the best of us.
Absolutely. And I thank you for sharing your testimony. So it takes a lot of vulnerability and openness to do that. And everybody's well, and that's okay. But some of us have been given a portion to do that. And so you kind of hit all of the stages, but I wanted to highlight just a few. Um, I'm gonna run through 7. I know traditionally we talk about 5, but when working with children, and even since I've been in private practice, working with adults, I have found just knowing these stages, especially during the holidays, kind of gives you an idea as to where you are. It's like a temperature. Is this going to make you feel better? No. Is it going to in any way um allow you to move past that feeling? Not necessarily. But if you know where you are, that's that is half the battle, okay? Because at least if you know where you are, then you can do something about that. So there are 5 stages of
Mhm.
grief, but 2 have kind of been added to kind of I call it like pad the bill, and just tease out grief a little bit more. The first one, of course, is shock, that initial paralysis. Sometimes during the holidays, it kind of it's like a little shock factor. Like, oh my God, it's Christmas. My loved one is gone. This is the first Christmas. I have no idea how to process this. But just recognizing that you're in that phase and you can move fluidly in that, every first is going to have that kind of shock factor, and the holidays are no different. The next one is, of course,
Yeah.
as Dr. Clark mentioned, just denial, trying to avoid the inevitable. Clearly, the inevitable has occurred, and you're now the inevitable is moving forward. So denial and anger is frustrated, just this outpouring of emotion. Like, I don't even know, I'm mad. And I remember
Mhm.
when my aunt passed away in 2005 from an asthma attack suddenly, it was really hard on all of us. But my cousin, after the funeral, really lashed out on me. And I was not mad at him or angry. I could see that he was just so much in pain that he had just gone straight to that anger
Mhm.
phase really quickly, of trying to process this immense death in our family. So at least if you're
Mhm.
lashing out, you may not even be able to pull yourself back before you've done it, but at least you know, oh, okay, this is a stage, and now I need to deal with myself accordingly. Bargaining. This was one that Dr. Clark said she went through at the loss of her husband, and I can only imagine what that is like. But I believe you, because at that point, you're seeking any way out, any way to pain, escape the pain. Bargaining is a very vulnerable stage. People make a lot of choices for good or not so good during this time for their mental health and their body. You have to be aware of how much you have as far as your alcohol intake, your recreation. You don't want to get into that
Mhm.
binging, because now you're trying to figure out how to numb this pain or anything to make it back right. God, if you just give me one more day. Um, and I think processing it with another person, um, I think processing it with another person helps bargaining quite a bit. Also, there is depression, and I find, and I don't know, Dr. Clark. I mean, I hope we're not. I have no idea if that's my technology or her technology or our technology, but I'm hoping that people are getting the bulk of this. I pray that people are getting the bulk of what we're saying. Um, but I find between bargaining and acceptance is when people start really understanding they need to get therapy. Like, okay, I am seeking, I am trying, and now I'm depressed, which is like it's finally hitting me. Now I'm in that testing stage, maybe, which comes after depression. Can I move on? Is it okay? Does it disrespect their legacy if I don't? All of this different emotion. And then that acceptance stage, which doesn't look like forgetting them or, replacing that person in any way. It just means I accept where I am. I accept this, and um, life goes on. And
Right.
so, but I find between bargaining and acceptance, people say, I need a therapist.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Um, again, that falls under the denial stage.
Yeah.
When you mentioned as far as do I need a therapist, a lot of people feel like I'm going to be okay. Even myself, I didn't seek out the help, seek the help of a therapist or outside help. I thought it was something I could deal with on my own. I had children that I
Mm.
had to see about. So I was the last person, of course, who I was checking on or thinking that I needed help. I knew over a period of time, it was a process that I went through. Writing was a form of therapy, being that I'm a writer anyway, but I found that that was an awesome way to be able to express my thoughts and my feelings and also educating what I experienced because I lived it. And I didn't want anyone to go through what I went through. A lot of people are dealing with the same thing, are masking. And we misdiagnose. We think they're going to be okay. He was telling individuals, my husband was saying, well, I'm going to do this and also kill my wife at the same time, but no one took him serious
Oh,
until
wow.
yes. So I'm just adamant about that we as an individual, we as a race, that we have to learn to listen. And that's what most people want, is a listening ear. They don't want anyone mouthing off and telling them you're going to be fine, because you don't know if they're going to be fine. You really don't know. They could look like they're fine. They have it going on, the material things, the home, the car, the business. You're building an empire, and that's exactly where we were. But no one knew what went on behind closed doors, because I had no idea. I didn't connect the dots that my husband was dealing with depression, why he was self-medicating, as you mentioned. We have a tendency to want to go out and bargain and do other
Yeah.
things. And he was bargaining, even with his sickness, because he did not want to accept. He didn't want to be in a state of lockdown, which is what happens a lot of times when people are medicated. So he
Yeah.
self-medicated. Yeah. And a lot of times when you self-medicate, it causes you to be more paranoid. Depends on what you're using.
It does. It definitely does. And you can even notice that. I think that we have been created with the ability to even know when we're out of control. We can accept that we're out of control.
Right.
I think that, again, that's that temperature part that God puts in our systems to say, hey, something's not right. You're a little paranoid. You're irritated. I've been there. Chronic migraines, having to take medicine from that, being really irritated after coming out of that medicine stupor. And that's just a daily situation or condition that many of us deal with, but we don't really see the long-term effects of how that affects people. And that's for the grieving and those who we didn't notice at the time were having those challenges before they passed away. Okay, so I know we have about 4 or 3 or 4 other things that we want to talk about, but I thought before we move on from grief, I just put a little check mark by a couple of things that you can do during the holidays to kind of process your loss. And this doesn't have to be just loss of a loved one. It could be loss of a job, loss of a pet, some people lost their homes. Some people lost a significant relationship and they're grieving that. And we'll probably get into a little bit of that when we talk about loneliness. But the first thing is remembering them. I think it's super important that we remember people, that we say their name out loud. Our ancestors insisted that we say our loved one's name out loud so that their spirit may live on. And so,
and Charnay, I don't mean to interrupt you before you go
No,
on, because I don't want this. I am getting messages and from Facebook that people are trying to get on. So how do we want to respond?
yeah.
Because they're saying they've been trying for 20 minutes.
Oh,
Yeah. So
have they? Okay. I see it, and I am just trying to figure out how to get people connected where we are. I definitely see that we're there.
are you?
Hold on, you guys.
Where do
We're gonna try. Keep
do you see?
talking, Dr. Clark. I'm gonna work on it while you talk.
Okay. Is it on your Facebook Live page?
It is, and I can see us moving just fine there.
Maybe, I don't know if you can
But
tag me, that way they can see, or if I can get on and share it. What page are you? Because I don't see it on your regular friend page.
there we go. Okay. I'm
There we
hoping
go.
that that's
I see it.
okay. Here we go. Sorry, you
Got it.
guys. We had a lot of good content at first. I'm so
Oh,
sorry. We just talked. I see now my notifications are popping up now. I see it. Oh wow. Okay. So I can't see you guys because I'm actually looking at the live stream and I'm trying to figure out what is best to do to share it out now that we're 20 minutes in. And it's okay. We're 20 minutes in, but guess what? We probably just needed to recap. So it's fine. We're
yeah.
just gonna
That's
adjust
okay.
ourselves
That's okay.
accordingly. And,
Yes.
and I had this glitch in my last StreamYard where it says that it's live, but it doesn't say that you need to go in and click from private to public, which was my concern right before we got on, but we fixed it. So we're here now. Okay,
So we
now
have
we have participants. Hey y'all, type in your comments. I hope that my internet is not acting up, but you can see us. Okay.
sorry, you guys. Yeah, but
We did. Now let's put activist Timothy Hughes, his comment back up there. Hey Tim. We're really live now. All right. So we just had this amazing conversation about grief, and I encourage you to go back and listen. Dr. Clark gave her testimony about losing her husband during the holidays and just appreciated her ability to be vulnerable and tell us about that, to reach out and help others who may be experiencing the loss of loved ones or even a job, finances, a pet, or whatever significant relationship or whatever loss you have experienced in your life. Um, Also want to just again talk about those 7 stages of grief. We talked about shock, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, testing, and acceptance. Those are going to be around you in some ways. At some point, they may pop up throughout your lifespan. So knowing those stages is really important. We move fluidly through them, and it's something about the holidays. And Dr. Clark was sharing about, you know, just the way that it just kind of highlights, right? Like the holidays just really bring home the reality that your loved one has
Mhm.
passed, or that your financial situation, you know, your job loss. It can be a lot.
Mhm.
And then before I have her to jump in, I'm just going to talk about what I was saying before we switch gears was make sure to remember them and say their name out loud. They did exist. Tell stories. I could tell you my mom told stories about her grandparents and her aunts that passed on, and my paternal my paternal side of my grandparents with my mom's dad. I feel like I know them because of the stories. I don't know if they're her memories or mine because she's told them so many times. So if a person was significant to you, don't hold that inside thinking that nobody else cares. They want to hear those stories too, and they become their memories as well, and they tell their children. But Dr. Clark,
Right.
before we realized that we were not doing what we need to do exactly, um, you were telling us, you were about to say something right after I was talking about remembering them.
As far as remembering your loved ones,
Yes.
is well, definitely. We want to remember them. We want to be able to carry on their legacy because it depends on the situation and how we lost the loved one. And in my case, and I know others that have lost their loved ones to suicide as well, carrying on their legacy is so important because mentally they weren't able to finish the job. And so it was like passing the torch.
Yeah.
And so that is what I encourage other individuals. It's not that you're stuck. It's just that that is what you were meant to do. And it has become your passion. So, the stronger ones are to help the weaker ones. And so a lot of times it was just their time up. We can't look at it as if, oh, well, this is going to happen or they went here. No, we don't have a heaven or hell to put anyone in. But what we can do is we can take it to the next level. And so that is what I say as far as, you know, um, looking at it from a brighter side with the individual, turning it into the light, the torch that has been passed on to you, is that you continue to allow that light, that torch light to light up and even become brighter as you continue, on in that journey of healing, as well. So, by doing that, you're allow people to heal. Like the topic of this, healing for the holidays. So we don't want people to get into the slumber of depression because the holidays are here. No, the individual that passed on or that you lost would not want you to be in slumber, would not want you to be depressed, and turn those things around and do the things that they wanted to do. And that's a part of lighting the torch and keeping the torch lit, so that it will stay bright by carrying
Exactly.
on their, what they were supposed to do. So again,
And I
we want
think that
individuals.
grief is one of those
Mhm.
things where we all are going to experience it. And I think we conceptualize it as a negative or a weakness that we're grieving, that we because we feel weaker.
Oh,
But
we correct.
grief is Right. And we do feel physically weaker a lot of
So,
times, but grief processing a loved one's death is a sign of strength.
mhm,
Because it allows the body and the mind to recover something that it has lost. It's almost like a limb. You are learning to live without that limb in your life. And so see it as a sign of strength. When people become numb and they can't feel, they kind of get stuck in a stage. That's when you know that it's becoming grief is becoming something other than a strength. Um,
right.
but you said something about when you were talking about strengths and weaknesses, it kind of made me want to transition into depression. So I
Mhm,
have this mindset about depression. I say that you have sad, and then you got sad, sad, sad. So sad
mhm,
is, I'm having a moment, I'm in my feelings, and it could be related to grief. It could just be related to something in life is not going the way that you want it to. You everybody is allowed to have a sad moment, and really we need sad moments. We really do need them because they make us wiser and more sensitive to our lives and other people. But
mhm,
sad is usually an indication of depression.
mhm,
Something is lingering, it's staying around longer, and it's kind of like, and it could be induced by a life event. But then there's sad, sad, sad. And I call sad, sad, sad clinical depression, meaning that if you were going to fill out a scale, a kudos scale, which is a really easy instrument, you can find it online, or your doctor should have access to it, or your therapist, it's going to give you an indication if you're sad, 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 which means that you're probably going to need some therapeutic support. You might need some physical support with your primary care doctor, or it could require medication or some other tool to kind of pull you through that particular segment of life. And it's kind of like pulling yarn through a really small needle head. You cannot get that through
mm,
sometimes by yourself. You need somebody to be on the other end to kind of pull you through, and that's okay. That's why God gives us each other. um, but I want to give Dr. Clark a moment to kind of talk about that before we switch over to some ways to handle depression during the holidays.
mhm. Well, depression, again, like you mentioned, there are many levels of depression. And, you mentioned the three levels, of course. And so when you get to the sad, sad, sad level, you really need someone. I always say have an accountability partner, someone that can pull you out of that third level, because you don't want to be, suppressed to the situation. And so many individuals can't come out of it. They can't shake themselves out. Whereas I often found myself going into that third level, but I was like, oh no, but everybody's not on the same level. I would get down, but then I bring myself back up, because I refuse to allow, the negativity, the just whatever was going on to overcome me, to succumb. And again, I was still grieving, but I still had things on my plate that needed to be taken care of. And that is what really drove me to continue to move on, is that I kept myself busy. You know, I kept, creating things, doing things for others, informing people, and so a lot of times we think, as you mentioned, Charnay, that we get into that severe state of depression
Yeah.
that we've lost it. No, you haven't. This is we
Mm.
turn it around. We turn that thing around, and a lot of times we've had people say what the enemy meant for uh, evil, God turned it around for good. And that's what we have to do in the midst of grieving, because we all have our clock is going to end one day. So, but we don't know how we're going to lose that person. And in the midst of losing our loved ones, we don't want to get stuck. Our job is to carry on that legacy, even with our ancestors, our loved ones, our parents, our spouses, regardless of that relationship that we have. And many people have remained stuck, Charnay, that I've seen. People have lost it literally on medication because they were not
Yeah.
able to overcome the loss of their loved one, the loss of a parent that they were so close to.
It
So
can be
what we
quite
have to,
terrible.
it can be quite terrible. So again, it can affect the health of the person. Depression also affects the body, not just the mind. And some people end up on physical medication because they have allowed that grief to set in, and it has taken a toll on their physical body. Some people, as you mentioned, experience headaches, from the severe depression that
Yeah.
they've gone through. Bouts of emptiness, sadness, loneliness, where you don't want to be around anyone and you don't want to talk to anyone. You don't want to answer the phone. And sometimes loved ones have to just not pick up the phone, but show up in person, knock on the door. Because when a person is severely depressed, especially through the loss of a loved one, they don't want to talk, but they do want you there.
Yeah.
And oftentimes we fail to miss that. We think, oh, well, if they want me, they'll call me. No, they're too weak. They can't call you. They're not
Yeah.
strong enough to pick up the phone and call you.
Yeah,
So what
I'm
we have to
glad
do
you
is show
said
up.
that. I'm glad you said that. There's this misnomer that, you're getting in somebody's business when
Hmm.
you show up for them, or, I don't want them to feel any kind of way. So it's just the enemy. There's just this
Yes.
constant barrier between you and another person. And it's allowing the grief to not have the kind of work with you that it should. Grief should bind, it should connect, it should bring people closer. It should give you an opportunity to say what you haven't said yet, what you didn't get to say, and
Mhm.
maybe in those moments of grief, or even when you're depressed, you have to have somebody to connect to. Disconnecting is like, I can figure this out on my own. You
Mhm.
don't have a pack. You don't have a team. You don't have a group. So you're not getting all that energy, and so automatically your body is saying, okay, we have to overwork. We have to overthink. We have to overfeel. We have to over all those things just to kind of keep our heads in the game. And then you kind of run out. And I've been there. I've been in
Mhm.
that stage and phase of life where you just run out. You've already been serving up dust. And
Yes.
now there's just not even any dust left. So,
Mhm.
one of the things that I wanted to share about dealing with depression, because it is super, super, super sneaky, just like grief, it will rush up on you and then you don't even know what you're feeling until you cannot move. So during the
Yes.
holidays, it's best to get out. Get out, even if it's just feel the crisp air for those in the north, those in the south. I don't know what the air is, but smell it anyway. Um, Cry in company. Tears are healthy. Cry. If you need to shed tears, if you're going through some type of fears of change during this season, and your family is not what it used to be, right? The older you grow, the more your family dynamics change, and you start to miss, and really it's crisp. um yes, so Miss Jackson said it's crispy in Memphis. So yes, well, it's cold in Georgia. So I can see my breath a little bit today. But wherever you are, get out, get in good company. If you need to cry or laugh with somebody
Mhm.
else. Get somebody on the phone. Feed your soul with affirmations. I do a lot of
Mhm.
I affirm myself through scripture. It's my number one feeding source is my scripture, but I also memorize a lot of affirmations and just give myself an opportunity to feel something, to remind myself of what I'm capable of, because depression is one of those things.
Mhm.
It has you and it's telling you you're not capable of anything. I have one
Mhm.
of my cousins, she's a horticulturer. She definitely got all of my grandmother's green thumb. And she tends to her plants, and it inspires me. I mean, God knows I can't, if it's not a peace lily or a beta fish, or my children, it might not live. I'm just going to be honest with it. Okay. But I thank God for her, because I get a lot of that green energy from her when she shares. So I thank God for that. Um, a couple of other things. Exercise. If you can get up, you can look up. I haven't been walking. I'm just being honest. I'm an avid walker. I used to walk 3 times a day, whether it was cold, snowing, sleet, rain, hot, no matter the weather. And I love my park, but I'm living a little further away from it. And I haven't figured out how to integrate that back in my life. And it's taken a toll on me. And so I recognize that. I've told my accountability partners about it. You got to get out. Last two things, see a therapist. Dr. Clark and Dr. White have availability. And attend a concert, go to an event, go to church service, attend a tree lighting or a festival. I have a few people that have told me, don't invite me, don't put up lights around me, don't send me any of your Christmas cards. And I'm like, can I just get one of those little revolving lights that you put in the room and it just goes around and around and we'll just shut it off, because I love the holiday season. I started to dress up today, but I was like, okay, that's not fair because I didn't tell Dr. Clark, so I don't want to come in looking like a Christmas tree, but I wear like the leggings every single day. I mean, I'm in it. But I also want to be transparent and say, as someone who has battled with depression, those are things that I put on my little list in case I can't access my normal Charnay. Okay. And I am human. I am not perfect. Sometimes I can just not make that connection to my normal bubbly self that I am right now. I just can't because I'm human. And it's okay to not feel it. You don't have to be bouncing off the walls like me right now. You just feel what you feel and figure out how to put people in your life so when you're not feeling it, that somebody says something to you of value to pull you out. Dr. Clark. Uh-oh. Dr. Clark, you got to unmute. I feel like you're muted. In the StreamYard, it says you're muted. Give us just a second, everyone.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
Sorry, what happened? So, you've said some phenomenal things here, Charnay. And when you talk about things we should do to get out of that state of depression, one of them is take a vacation. A lot of times we have gone through things we've lost, especially when you've lost a spouse. You didn't find yourself taking vacations. You didn't find yourself doing things, going to the spa day, things that you did not get a chance to do because you were so overwhelmed with trying to keep things going and you didn't realize what was happening. You were just going with the flow at the moment. And so do those things, make a list of things that you want to do, things that you were not able to do that you would like to do now. And don't allow situations, even finances, to get in the way or to be a stumbling block from you wanting to progress. Because just always say there's always a way to do what you want to do. So those are some of the things that I wanted to add, Charnay, is to allow people to think about things that you were not able to do, things that you want, your dreams, your passion, and it's so important. And just take it to the next level.
Yeah.
Just continue, being positive and being around individuals that are going to make you laugh. Laughter is like a medicine. I mean, I love to laugh. My kids say all the time, Mom, you are so silly. You come up with, it sounds silly to them, but I'm like, well, it made me laugh, and it made them laugh. So a lot of times being around silly people, just who humor you laugh, doing things, getting out of the norm, the box, out of the box. We are so stuck in the norm. And so we've got to learn to just do different things. Things are always revolving.
Yeah, you only get one life, so try to
Can you hear me, Charnay?
I can. Can you hear me? Is it getting stuck a little bit?
Yeah, I think it went.
Okay.
I can hear you now. It was stuck for a moment there.
Okay. All right. I'm hoping that that does not happen again. But Okay, so I want to move on because I could feel myself veering to the left. I want to couple anxiety and financial stress together for a moment. I think that anxiety and comes a lot of times from financial stress, and some of the signs that you're feeling anxious is not being able to catch your breath, feeling like you have something heavy on your chest. Avoidance is a sign of anxiety. You may not even, I don't even know why I didn't go. I don't know why I didn't go to the program. I don't know why I didn't go to work today. I don't know why I didn't call them like I said I would. Or I don't know why I didn't fulfill that obligation. Or I don't know why I didn't get out of bed. It could just
Mhm.
be some underlying anxiety of trying to deal with something that you don't either feel like you have the money, the time, the mind to deal with. And so during the holidays, that increases because of
Yeah.
expectations that usually we put on ourselves and some are
Mhm.
projected from other people. And so I thought a little bit about that. One of the things that I have learned is that you really don't have to pull from what you don't have, because when you continue to pull from what you don't have, people will continue to expect you to pull from that. And when you don't, because you becomes you can't, they don't
Mhm.
understand because you always have. Okay. So we use our kids as an example. We know the life that we have, and we know the life that we had as young people, and we always want to give more to our children. So we just
Mhm.
keep going, keep doing, keep buying, making it bigger. You're in competition only with yourself. So you're wanting to blow this 22 Christmas out bigger than you did 21. And so we're missing value time. What are your values when your child has is not able to cope in school, or they're not able to make it through their sophomore year of college? You're
Mhm.
not thinking about how much you spent on them or with them or for them during the holidays.
Mhm.
So, really putting into perspective how to make the holidays valuable and meaningful. I don't want to project my feelings, but what I can tell you is that if you put your holidays in a space that is safe, then you won't have to worry about your money not being safe. Okay? And sometimes we make our money unsafe. We make our identity and our purpose in other people's lives an unsafe place to live because of all this unnecessary expectation.
Mhm.
So I just want everybody to just chill, calm down. It's November 20th. If you haven't bought that first holiday gift for those at the office, for the holiday cheer, for the children, for your grandparents, for your significant person, listen, there's grace for you too. We're all going to survive and make it in January if it be the Lord's will. So,
Mhm.
Dr. Clark, do you have some tips or some things to deal with anxiety and financial stressors?
Yes, a lot of times when we deal with anxiety, it's because we overthink.
Yeah.
Many times we're overthinking. People are overthinkers at times. They're overthinking, as you mentioned, financial situations. How am I going to be able to pay for certain things? As the holiday, Christmas things, gifts. Don't allow that pressure to
Yeah.
take control. Don't allow that pressure to take control because literally Christmas, giving of gifts should be every day. And don't allow other individuals to put you in that state of mind. So don't allow again, is what you allow that will consume you. Control over the power and the thoughts that entertain your mind. So overthinking again is a part of anxiety. And so, when we feel those things coming on, we feel nervous. Sometimes we feel like we feel guilty because we can't do these things. You can't allow individuals to make you feel guilty because you know your financial situation. Don't go out and take loans that you know you can't pay back.
My God. Please
Okay.
don't. Just
Yeah.
go in the opposite direction from that, because American Express and Capital One, Credit One, and MasterCard, they don't care.
They don't.
They are equal opportunity takers of your money and your
Mhm.
interest rate money.
Yes,
So
that's exactly. That's what they're in business for. For one day out of the year, don't do it. You know, if you're
hmm,
feeling restless, if you're feeling tense, nope. This is if you have to say this is my time, that's not being selfish. If you don't take care of you and your mind and your way of thinking, then who's going to do it? And if people don't understand that, that really says a lot about their character. So it is really important that you think about those things for those who are listening. And also, it can cause you to have a sense of danger. When I say that impending panic attacks can come on from overthinking, and you don't know, all of a sudden you're just panicking for no reason because you've overthought the situation. Increased heart rate. People have actually had to go to the ER and they didn't know what was going on
yeah,
because they were having a severe panic attack. Breathing rapidly, hyperventilating.
my God.
So all of these symptoms come from literally overthinking, anxiety over one day out of the year. Now, I'm just not talking about holidays.
And that's usually like reaction based. I know one year my daughter's favorite show was Caillou, so I spent like one whole day going from store to store back when Toys R Us was still alive and well. I think it's coming back to life now, trying to
Yeah, I
find
heard.
this Caillou doll. And I mean, when I tell you I was in it, I mean I was in it. Like I'm gonna find this Caillou doll if I don't do anything else. And she was so afraid of that doll. I think it was like Caillou is supposed to be in the TV,
Mhm.
not in my living room, and the doll was under the bed for like 3 years. I mean, it was just so sad. So I think about that. We attach ourselves to reaction, and
Yes.
I think that reaction, of course, is built out of love. Like we want to see a certain reaction, and that
From
comes
there.
from how we love them. So we're looking
Exactly.
for that response. But I think that that is again is a faulty mindset. Like that does not always allow us to give our personal best, because our personal best and their reaction may always be two different things for your loved one. And I think it sets a certain expectation. Now, when you're in a relationship and somebody is not positively reacting to you, that could be a sign of something different. I don't want
Right.
to minimize that, but I'm here to tell you, listen, if you're looking for a certain reaction in your gift giving and that's where your spirit comes from, you are setting yourself up for what could potentially be a major failure,
Mhm.
a feeling of failure. Not that you have failed, but once you feel like you failed, that is your perception and you have made that your reality. So I have this statement
And you're
that
doing it for yourself. You're basically, you're not doing it for them. You're doing it because you want them to feel excited because of what you have given them. Like you were saying, you were looking for the Kalu. You wanted her to have that. And normally, even our kids, how long do they play with kids? Because of their attention span. A couple of hours
listen,
with that, they're
not
gonna
long. I am
go
so
with
let me
something
tell
else.
you, it was like just as of like 2 weeks ago, it was like 8 boxes that hadn't been opened. I noticed sitting in the closet, just
Mhm.
of things and things that old Saint Nick had bought last year. And it's like they're not concerned about that the least.
No,
But
they're
I
not.
have this saying that I live by, Dr. Clark, and I don't know about how you and your kids navigate, but I say I am not going to let these children mess with my self-esteem. And I
Yes.
say that as an affirmation to myself. And so I get really excited about my gift giving process, because
Mhm.
it seems like for some reason the grandparents and the extended family, the friends and the you know my in-laws, they know exactly what the kids want. And for some reason, this here, oh Saint Saint Nikolai, so Saint Nicoletia, she don't be knocking it out the park. So I'm like, okay, we're all different gift givers, and I have given them my personal best, and I can't let them mess with my
Yes.
self-esteem. So that's kind of how I process it.
Exactly. Like I told mine, I said, "Look, I am your gift, okay? That I
Every
am, and
day.
yes, definitely, to the point now they're saying, "Okay, mom, what do you want for Christmas?" So I have made up my mind that this is my time, and we deserve to say that.
You know what? I did put out a little doll list just before we go over to loneliness and deal with that. I put out a little doll list. So this is so cheap. I know this is so cheap for people on my timeline, Dr. Clark's timeline. But I really want all of the dolls that are like time Barbies. So, if your spirit is moving, I want them all. I need Maya, I need Shirley, I need just if it's a period piece, I need Madam CJ Walker. Just send them to my address. DM me if you need my address. It's no problem. I'm just telling people what I want these days. Dr. Clark, I'm tired of going through the holidays and not getting some of the things that I want, and then ending up exhausted with family. And then they're looking at your gifts and they're like, thanks.
Okay, that's what I
want. I didn't even get my Shirley Chisholm doll. So I'm just being straight up.
It's your time. That's what I'm saying. Put it in the comments. This is what I want.
Period. And goodbye. Okay, so we're gonna cap it off today with loneliness. And we started out. This is where we started out. I think is it the Emotions? They sing, "What do the lonely do at Christmas? What do the lonely do at Christmas time?" Which I have this love concern. I don't want to say love hate, but love concern about that song. It's so smooth, and you just want to sing it because it's like, but it's really sad. It's really a sad song. But it's real, and we have to have real music. And a lot of people this is their first Christmas without their significant other, their wife, their husband, their boyfriend, their partner, that their person, their mom. I know so many people, including my loved ones, who it's a year of first, and loneliness, like all of our other challenges during the holidays, is a sneaky little somebody and catches you off guard, or sometimes it's been lingering and it's just been so present. But I'm gonna give Dr. Clark some time on this. I wanted to just say, reframe the holidays. When loneliness is something that you're experiencing, you really need to figure out how to reframe your holidays. Oh, and here's one of my little holiday treasures interrupting my life. Can you have to be quiet, okay? Can you take it back upstairs? Okay.
I was just saying.
Okay, but you have to turn it down because it's loud. Okay, so let's turn it down. Turn it down. You gonna stay down here? Okay, stay on the couch. Thanks. Go ahead. It's one of my little elves. Oh my goodness. Okay. So sometimes we even have to reframe our life, right? Because we got babies. It is what it is, y'all. All right. So to reframe the holidays means the way that you had it as a child or a young adult, or maybe you never had holidays the way you wanted to growing up, but you were able to do it for your kids. And now life has changed as you know it. Things are not the same. This is a year first for my family. And I have decided to reframe it. I cannot allow all of the amazingness that I felt like was my parents, or even my amazingness in the beginning part of becoming a mom, to define my 2022 holiday season. I mean, we're living in a different year. We just came through and still going through COVID. We're processing how to engage safely. We're still all very paranoid about interactions with people, even those we love, because everywhere they've been in those 20 minutes, 3 hours that we're with them, we've been, because we're breathing the same air. So I have decided to just reframe it to attend things that make me happy, to do activities that are new instead of, all of them being just the traditional pieces. And some of the traditional pieces that still fit, I do that. But I don't want you to think that because you're dealing with some level of loneliness that you have to stay there. And even if you're just really like humbug, like you want to be a Scrooge about it, listen, if that's where you are, I can imagine and I believe you. But
Yes.
try to navigate those waters with someone that's a little bit less humbug than you, because you would be amazed at what that can do for your spirit. You don't have to change, but we can all grow. And it's
Mhm.
important because we got to reset for January. This is just not about Christmas or Thanksgiving or all the things that lead up to that, or even the new year. You are facing 2023. And yes, we want to celebrate the birth of Christ and make
Mhm.
it about something meaningful, but you want to live. You want to live. And if loneliness captivates you and increases your anxiety levels, the depression and everything becomes bigger than what your life really is in your hands, that can be something that it gets beyond you, and you definitely need to seek help if your loneliness is overtaking you. So my little remedy is, remember that marriage and relationships, coupling, children, parents are not the holy grail. They will not get you into the kingdom, and they did not bring you into the earth. I am not saying that from an insensitive place. I value those things in my own life. And even those that I don't have, those things that I don't have, I find value in that as well. But I just want you to know that what you glorify and what you bring a light to will be big. But if you don't, it doesn't have to be the mountain in the room, because this was another year that you're still single, or you're still divorced, or you're still married and unhappy, or you're pregnant again. I have some friends, oh my god, I'm 40 and I'm why like, things are happening to everybody, and everything that glitters
Yeah.
on social media is not gold. So make sure not to glorify
Thank
those
you.
things above what they are. Their experiences, their opportunities, they are good, but they do not make up the relationship with God or your individual relationships with people. They're just parts of your life, if that makes sense.
Mm.
Hopefully that makes sense. So that's my little piece on how to grapple with loneliness. What are you thinking, Dr. Clark?
I totally agree. Absolutely. Loneliness also is a part of, we don't want our emotions to overtake. And a lot of times people are lonely, they allow their emotions to get in the way. And so you got to learn to know when to balance, to decipher the difference, because you have your emotions and then you have your feelings, which are two different things.
Yes.
So again, learning that, because feelings are related to our basic emotions, but they play a totally different role in our lives. So you don't want your emotions, because you're lonely, because you don't have anyone, because you're alone. And as you mentioned, many people get on social media and they see other people, but again, you don't know if that's true or not. So focusing on what you are doing and what you're supposed to do, tap into your purpose.
Wow.
Use that time to tap into you. You can't do you if you're trying to do what everybody else is doing.
My. Say it for the people in the back, Doc.
No, you can't. So, what's for you is for you. What's for them is for them. And so that's something that we have to learn to do. Don't allow social media. That's why it's here. That's what it's used for. Is to uh, literally take people off their journey, to get into other people's business, and
My.
to get out of your
Wow.
own business. And you will some people get lost. They literally get lost and forget about, who am I? What am I supposed to do? So sometimes take a break. Use this time to learn who you are. Don't start feeling sorry for yourself. Don't invite yourself to pity parties. No.
Wow. Don't invite yourself to your own pity party. Leave you
Learn
out of
to
that.
no, don't invite yourself to leave you out of it. So many people get so caught up in other people, as I said, their business, when you don't even have your own business together. So let's
Mm.
tap into who you are. Do you know who you are? Ask yourself that question. Do you know who you are? And then you won't be so lonely.
Yeah. Reverend Lee said, tap in. I see you all. Tap in. And I get it. We have all been kind of taught how to process life, how to process holidays, what the tradition is. This is how it should be. But at the end of the day, that doesn't necessarily make it so.
Right.
Things are meant to change, life changes, and we sometimes we are grieving something that is never going to occur again.
Mhm.
I would love to have that tree that all my friends used to make fun of. Wait a minute, John. I would love to have that tree growing up my friends used to make fun of and say things about, because we used to have only homemade decorations. Only homemade decorations. And they would just laugh. It would be just a big gaudy tree. I would love to have that, but my kids are, I'm just gonna be honest, they're a hair bougier than I was growing up. Maybe I've made them that way. I'm not sure. They like glitz. They're like, I saw this on Pinterest, mommy. Can we make this tree? I'm like, yeah, I guess. That looks like it's gonna cost $5,000 from Michael's, but I'm just saying that in all seriousness, don't be so stoic or so stuck in where you've been that you cannot enjoy where you're going. Children, parents, grandparents, all bring a flavor to the holiday
Yeah.
season. And you don't want to miss that. This time is precious. Life is fleeting. Death is final. We don't know when our last is going to be, and that's for everybody. And one thing I can tell you
That's
about
right.
my resilient father, listen, I know. Oh my goodness. Yeah, my dad, he gonna make the holidays. He gonna make it whatever it's gonna be every year. And that's always interesting. But yeah, I see whose fault is that, Dr. Charnay? Yes, I know my flaws. I realize that I've made these children this way, Latasha. And I am owning that. I am owning that. Latasha also said, focus your time on getting to know you, which is really an echo of what Dr. Clark has said today. So I think we have gotten to the end. I'm
Mhm.
going to say again, I am so grateful for Dr. Lena Clark. I'm gonna let her do her extra with her business and all the many things that she is putting in the earth for the good of others. But I just like to thank you for reaching out to me and giving me an opportunity to connect with another great African American, strong business owner. Just the future is female, and I'm just great. I'm just so happy to be connected to another great woman. So thank you, thank you, thank you. You've been a great gift to me during this holiday season.
Amen. And so have you, Charnay. I give God the glory and I thank you so much for what you're doing, because it is not about me. It is for, the people passing on the torch, wanting to see greatness, because we all were born with a purpose, and we were born with greatness. So again, thank you for this opportunity. And collaboration is the key. That's another thing. We have got to learn to collaborate and
That's
not
it.
collaboration, complement each other. But my organization, as shown me to give you all the information, is Miracle Mind Global, the website www.miraclemindglobal. It is also on Facebook, Miracle Mind Global. And you can also find me, Dr. Lena G. Clark, on Facebook. And I am the CEO and founder, as I mentioned, certified mindset coach, a mental health coach. I have a PhD in mental health care, certified chaplain, author, inspirational orator, and other things that you will find on the website. And I have over 20 years of experience in the mental health field also. And so our vision is to build a global who have made a decision, because we all can do that. We all can. So again, our mindset program, delivers both personal and professional results. And so that is my passion. I'm very passionate about helping others becoming the best possible version of themselves. And you can learn more about, through education, resource sharing, and building a community of unity. And we're on a mission to make a difference in the world. And our mission, closing, is to accelerate the development of a better mental health care system. It's not just development of a better mental health care system, but we to create the best teams around the world with a desire to collaborate, who have the biggest ideas and unique solutions to this rising epidemic. So that is what we're on a mission to do
Dr.
here.
Clark, there's a request for you to put your web information in the chat. So if you get a moment to do that, make sure you connect with Dr. Clark. As I stated before, she's doing a lot of amazing things in the earth. Great therapist, and I'm just glad to be collaborating with her. Of course, as you all know, I am Sharnae by Grace. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Clubhouse, everywhere on social media. And of course, my website is my first name, CAARNE.com, or Sharnae by Grace, my name phonetically, .com. And yeah, I'm excited. Please make sure you check out the Reverb podcast with my co-host, activist Timothy Hughes, as well as all of the many things that Sharnae by Grace has coming up. We have a few paint nights coming up, therapeutic paint nights for the holidays, as well as some discounted therapy. Yeah, y'all know I like to have my clinic where people can get in for the low, okay? And come on in, get you some therapeutic vitamins. So if you're feeling some of the ways that we talked about today, we want to give you that. I will put mine right here in the chat as well. And, you know, just make sure you connect with, if you health professional. Hear me when I say yourself.
Yes.
Show up for yourself. If you need a recommendation, Dr. Clark and I are more than willing to help you get that, because sometimes we're your tea and sometimes we're not your tea, and that's okay. We're all right with that. But it looks like my doppelganger in the back is going to take over the show if I don't end it. So with that being said, grow in grace. I love you. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. God is for you. Jesus is with you. The Holy Spirit is in you. All of heaven's angels are on your side. God bless you this holiday season. Please be blessed. And I can't wait to see you on the other side of 2024. Say good night.
Yes. 2023.
2023. I'm already in 24. Say good night.
Blessings, everyone.
God bless you. Bye-bye.